Hey guys, so I wanted to do a quick recording and show y'all the homepage and so orientation video to get y'all started on our second term 1010 class. So we have a lecture class and we have a lab class. They're separate classes. So this will be the lecture video, but I teach both of them for the W9 section, and it will start March 10th. And so we will have our welcome and announcements are always here in the announcement section. We're going to swap out that video for this video, and we have all of the important stuff in the announcements. For the first week, we are going to have a practice quiz. That's your syllabus quiz, so you can practice using the quizzes in D2L, not only the quizzes, but also Respondus download. Get that on your device so you know how to use Respondus, that you know that it works with your device. And if it doesn't work with your device, you have time to go to one of the campus locations. I teach out of the Cartersville location, so I know that they have laptops that you could borrow. And some of them are for a full semester, and some of them are for just like a 48-hour borrow, but you could borrow them because they also have Respondus Lockdown Browser Monitor just in case your device doesn't work. But the practice quiz will allow you to use that. It's going to be 5 like easy questions on the syllabus content, that kind of stuff. I use it as bonus points later in the semester. So we've got the practice quiz that's going to be due the first week. We also have an intro discussion post. I always like to learn about my students, especially online when it's really hard to make connections. I like the intro discussion post so I can find out a little bit about you, um, and you can find out a little about me. So I've got that in there. I also have the tech tip to please make sure that your notifications are set up. So if you've got them set up in D2L, then they should go through on the Pulse app that you can download to your phone, and that will let you know, hey, don't forget about this quiz that is due in 2 days, or the paper, or the grades have posted for such and such. I love the notifications because I am a busy person, and I'm sure you are busy too, and time management is really important when you get super busy. So I always like to give y'all whatever I can as far as tips and tricks to manage your time wisely and make sure that you don't miss anything. Also, that is due this very first week is our very first week of content. So we are covering in this 8 week abbreviated full term, right? We've got 8 weeks and we had to boil down all of the 16 weeks of content in 8 weeks. So we also have a week one, chapter one due. So we'll cover chapter one this week, and then next week we'll probably cover 2 chapters after that. So we have chapter one also covered in the first week. It's got a lecture quiz. The lecture quizzes are designed to be easy points questions. So I'm going to do the lecture quiz questions just like I would do in my face-to-face classes. And so I have recorded videos of my lectures, and then you would go in and take the lecture quiz. And those are just to try and make sure that you're, watching the videos, reading the notes, paying attention to the content that's covered. So there are 5 relatively easy questions on the lecture quizzes to get you going on that chapter content material. And then I have 4 discussion posts. If you were to take this class in eCore, which I also teach eCore, they have, I want to say, like 8 or 10 discussion posts. I'm not doing that to y'all. So I am only giving us 4 discussion posts, one for each exam time frame. So we do have a discussion post that is covering chapter one material that will also be doing the first week. So the first week sounds like a lot, and it kind of is. But 8 week courses are gonna have a lot of stuff like this, like all in a row. So I try and give y'all the best tools available. So set up your notifications. Definitely take a look at the calendar. And on day one, start putting stuff into whatever planner you use. I put everything in my phone. I am also, there it is. I am also a grad student. I teach full time. I'm married. I've got 3 teenagers. They are busy. And I'm also trying to finish up my doctorate at Valdosta. So I understand time management, and the Pulse app is really important and helpful in that for me as a student too. So please do your best to put in these dates. I'm going to show you them again in several places. I try and put all the dates in numerous places so nothing sneaks up on you, and you can plan accordingly, especially in an online class that is really self-motivated. I want y'all to have all the information up front so you can plan. You can make your best plan to do the best in this class. So We've got our announcements over there. The content browser is itty bitty. It's not my favorite as far as the size widget, so I definitely would refer you up here to all of these tabs at the top. And then we've also got the calendar as a bigger widget down here. So we've got home. We can go over the syllabus really quick. The syllabus is going to have my contact information, office hours, that kind of stuff, and also the schedule. I've got the schedule in numerous places. So with the syllabus, we've got the description, um, my contact information. So here's my Highlands email. That's the one I'm going to recommend that y'all get a hold of me for because it goes to my phone. Um, you absolutely can email me through D2L, and the D2L email works. It does work. The only thing about the D2L email is that I don't know if, unless I'm logged into my computer and on D2L, that you have emailed me on D2L. So if you would like to get a hold of me quickly, I would definitely suggest the Highlands email over the D2L. I check both. I do check both. But the Highlands will get a hold of me faster than D2L because maybe you emailed me on a Thursday and I um didn't check until Saturday because I didn't know. Or maybe you emailed me on a Friday night and I'm not logging in until Sunday evening. I don't know. But I will know if you email me at the Highlands one because it goes straight to my phone. This is my office phone on the Cartersville campus. My office is C109, so it's in the basement of the STEAM building. If you want to get a hold of me for face-to-face meetings, so those are scheduled on Tuesdays because I teach Majors Bio 2 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I have these set up for before that class. So if anybody wants to meet face-to-face, we can do that on Tuesday, Thursdays. If you'd like to meet online, I've got the office hours set up for Mondays and Wednesdays, 11 to 2, and you can meet online there. This is the Teams link to join the meeting. If you want an office hours meeting, though, I do suggest booking time with me. So use this booking slot so that way that time is set aside for you. I know that you are there because I am not hanging out in the Teams chat for 3 hours. They're hoping that somebody will drop in. I tried that in the past and it's sad and nobody drops in. So, I've got a booking link. I also have, in the past, I also had other students that weren't my teaching students. I'd had advising students from all sorts of different types of schools, like business and nursing and different things, trying to book appointments for advising. And then they would compete with my other students. So I have a bookings link right here set up. So it says book time with Kim Subach. And you can click that. That will lock in one of these times, either um, the online sessions or a face-to-face session. If those times don't work for you, and I know y'all are online students, so those times may not work for you. Maybe you're working a full-time job, 9 to 5, and you do everything after hours. So if those don't work for you, please let me know. I try and be as accommodating as possible. So if you need a different time, just email me and we'll try and work something out. Communications policy, I try to respond within 24 hours, Monday through Thursday. That's always my goal. I just want to let y'all know. And then over the weekends, it's going to be a little longer because, like I said, I've got 3 kids and they have sports and all the things. So we're usually pretty busy on the weekends, but I try to respond also over the weekend too. The material for this course is the Concepts of Biology by OpenStax, and it is fully free online. I've got the link where you can download it yourself if you want the whole thing. We are going to be covering about half the book in 1010, and then we cover the second half in Bio 1012. But I also have the PDF already downloaded and embedded in the course content. So we're going to show you that later. But this is your free textbook. You don't have to buy anything. If you would like your own physical copy, that is available for purchase and it does cost, I want to say around $50 if you want a physical copy of this. But otherwise, it is absolutely 100% free for the materials in this class. The learning outcomes here, it is part of the impacts. It's the T and the tech. For impacts, you can see the different competencies that we'll be using for things in here. Attendance, I do would like y'all, I need y'all to log in every week for sure, if not multiple times a week. That would be great because if you are not logging in, especially in an 8-week class, if you don't log in one of these 8 weeks, you have missed 2 weeks of content in a full 16-week semester class, and it adds up real quick on what you've missed if you haven't logged in. So I need y'all logging in and making sure you're getting all your work done every week, especially in an 8-week class, especially. Grading scheme is 10-point grading scheme. It's the same throughout GHC. So anybody that's got a 97 has the same grade that somebody's got a 90 flat. Um, If you are within 1 point, one single point of the next grade level, I will round you up. I will round you up. But if you're more than 1 point, you will stay where you earned because a person that made an 88 is not the same grade as the person that made the 98. So you will stay where you're at if it's more than 1 point. If you made an 89.1 though, I'm rounding you up. I'm rounding you up, but it has to be within 1 point. How are you getting assessed in the class? It's going to be exams for sure. And then we also have those chapter quizzes that I was telling you about. Those are in there too. Those are 15% of your grade. And then we have 4 discussion posts, and those are also going to be 15% of your grade. I divided the content up into halves. So we have an exam one that's covering the first couple chapters, chapters 1 and 2. Then we have the comprehensive midterm, that's going to cover 1 through 5 or 1 through 6. I can't remember, but it's going to cover the first half of the material. It will pull 30 old questions from exam one and 70 brand new questions on the brand new content. After including chapter 3 and beyond, and that'll be the midterm. So the exam number one is 75 questions. The midterm is going to cover again 30 old, 70 new for a total of 100 questions in there for the midterm. And then after the midterm, you start brand new fresh. So then we'll be going from exam 3, and that'll be new stuff since the midterm. Again, starting fresh, 75 questions on all that new stuff. Then the comprehensive final is going to be set up just like the midterm, except it's everything from the midterm forward. So 30 questions from exam 3, and then 70 new questions on the new content covered during the final exam period. So that is how those are set up. I do try and have a rubric available for everything that would need a rubric. Descriptions on the lecture test, how they're set up, the midterm, how it's set up, the final, all that discussions. And they are 15% of your grade, not 10%. So I need to fix that. But those will be how the class is set up. The lecture quizzes, there's one on each chapter. We cover 11 chapters total. And I know that sometimes things get away from you. So I did put in some drops in there. So I do drop one of your lecture quizzes if maybe you just forgot that one that time, or maybe you just scored poorly and you'd like to drop that one. I do have a drop on the lecture quizzes. So I take your top 10 of those, take your top 10. I also have a late work policy here on the discussion posts and the quizzes because I'm an online student, and I know that sometimes, again, things get away from us. So I do have a little bit of leniency, a little bit. So if you can get your stuff done in the next 6 days, if something's late, I'll still take it. I'll still take it, and you get a late penalty. It's 2 points a day for every day that it's missed. But if you go a full week that you've missed it, then it stays as a zero. It stays as a zero. So that's my policy. A little bit of wiggle room there in case you miss the things that are due. I try and have everything due on Mondays. If you look at the schedule, it's next. Here's everything. I try and have everything due on Mondays. Um, we won't have anything due over spring break, so please enjoy your holiday. I hope I will be enjoying my holiday as well. Um, and then the next Monday when we come back after spring break, that's when we'll have the quizzes. But of course, you can do things early. I always have the ability for you to do things early if you want to and just knock those out and then enjoy your spring break. That works too. Um, so those are set up here. Here's a schedule on everything, what's due. So I've got the schedule in the syllabus, I've got the schedule in the calendar, and let me go to the course content and show you that stuff too. This schedule is what D2L imports into simple syllabus. They don't always import the dates for certain things, so this is not my favorite way to look at what things are due. Here, this is my favorite way to look at what things are due. It's really concise, done by weeks and what things are due every week. So if you want to um, print this out, save this, please do. Please do. You can also, I'm going to show you in the content where the schedule is too. You can also bookmark that. Speaking of printing and saving your syllabus, please do save all your syllabi and all your classes. Just keep an electronic copy of it, no matter what class you're taking, because if you're transferring, if you're going to grad school, whatever the case may be, and some other institution needs to look back on your classes and see if it qualifies as an equivalent class that they have, the syllabus is the material that they need to know. They want that syllabus. So I always do tell everyone, please do share, save your syllabus so you can come in. It's going to ask me to edit the syllabus, but I want to say, yeah, if you hit print, you can save it as a PDF, and then you got to copy your syllabus, and now you'll have it. So that is the syllabus really fast. Let's go back to content. So up here at the menu, I'm going to click content here is the best way to find all the content versus that little bitty widget on the homepage. It's so small. So we got the let's get started. Welcome to Bio 1010. And I try and give everybody in all my classes. It doesn't matter if it's my Foundations of Micro class, my AP class, my majors or non-majors class, my wildlife management class. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to try and give you the same tips and tricks because different classes are different students are different, everybody learns differently. So I do try and give you all the tips and tricks that may help you be successful no matter what on this page. And so if you're trying some of these and you take the first test and it doesn't turn out the way you want, adjust. Maybe try some different tools that are in here and study differently the next time and see if that helps. Again, I am always available for office hours, so you definitely can book a time slot on bookings and we can meet and discuss stuff. But that is all in here for tips and tricks. Here again is a link for my bookings appointment, my Highlands email. This is my Gmail phone number that I give out to students as well. If you need to fire off a text for me, that's there. There's also the link to the biology LibGuide, which has a little bit more resources than I've got here on the D2L page. Like it'll have some extra YouTube videos and stuff on there, so it's worth checking out if you want to check that out. It's there. As far as test questions, the bulk of my test questions are absolutely going to be at the bottom of the pyramid in Bloom's taxonomy, but I do have some other higher level, like understand, apply, and analyze questions. There will be an occasional one like that, like a word problem-y question, that may have you try and analyze a situation and figure out what the answer should be. So I have a few of those, but the bulk is basic understanding and remembering regurgitation. But I do have some higher level questions sprinkled in. Don't stress. But I just like to give those up front and just let you know. So that is our get started tips and tricks for studying and being the most successful. I've got a link to the syllabus. It's also in the top tab too. And then here's another copy of the course schedule. So you can like bookmark this page on your browser if that works for you and just keep referencing this as far as what is due when. But again, we're going to have our intro, we're going to have our chapter one content, we're going to have our practice quiz, we're going to have our intro discussion post, we're going to have there's the quiz and there's our discussion post on the chapter one material. So we have two discussion posts in the first week. Your intro, hi, hello, how are you post, and then your chapter one discussion post. And each of these discussion posts, discussions 1 through 4, have a rubric. So if you want to check those out, they are in there. But that's the schedule under the Let's Get Started. Here is the link for the practice quiz to make sure that you understand the syllabus and the expectations of the class and also know how to use Respond to Lockdown Browser. And then here is that intro discussion post where you get to tell us about yourself really quick. And so all of that is going to be due in the first week. This is the Let's Get Started section. We said we're covering chapter one in the first week too. So I have everything broken down by exam and then the content covered within each exam. So chapter one is here, and then there's its lecture quiz for chapter one's lecture quiz. You can also, anytime you want to like jump to just a quiz, assessments, quizzes, boom, you're there. Or discussion post assessments and discussion posts are there. Rubrics are also here too. So I always like to show you the shortcuts just in case. So the chapter one stuff, we had the chapter one quiz on the lecture content. As far as the content for each chapter, remember I told you how I downloaded the PDF for the OpenStax and it's in here and I carved it up and put it in? This is it. So here's the backbone of the class. This is the OpenStax textbook carved into chapters. Here it is. So here's the textbook chapter. From the textbook, I boiled down what I felt was like the most important material out of the textbook for that chapter and put it into a chapter outline. So they're boiled down versions of the textbook. I tend to rely heavily on the chapter outlines. Then I've also got the PowerPoints that I would use in lecture. I put them in here for you. And then I recorded video lectures for my students, just like I would be speaking to y'all in a face-to-face class. So I've got video lectures recorded in here. So if you are going through the material and watching the video lectures, you should score really well on the lecture quiz. You should also be able to find that information in the chapter outlines too if you don't have time for the video lectures, but I do recommend the video lectures because I'm going to emphasize stuff in there that to me I feel like is important, and maybe if you're just going through the textbook you're like, I don't know if that's important, but if you watch the video lectures you'll know. And then we have our first discussion. Remember, we have four discussions, four discussions. There's one in each exam. So there's one for exam one, there's one for the midterm, there's one for exam three, and then there'll be one due for the final exam chapter content. There'll be a fourth discussion post for those. So here's the discussion for number one. And then the exam number one is going to cover chapters one and two. So they're both in here. Chapter two, textbook chapter outline, PowerPoint off the lecture. Then some links are going to link to outside sources, like this is Khan Academy, and I think Khan Academy is really great for math as well as science. So I've got some links in there because I know I've had some students in the past that went into biology 1010 and they had never, ever, ever, ever had chemistry ever, not in high school, never. So I have extra stuff in here, extra helping bits in here for chemistry. If you have never, ever, ever seen this stuff discussed before, I wanted to help y'all out. So I've got some extra links in here. I've also got my video lectures for chapter two in here. We've got the study guide for chapter two's in here. There's my study guide for chapter one. Um, Chapter two's lecture quiz. So go through all the material, look at the textbook, look at the chapter outlines, watch the video lectures, and take your chapter two quiz. And then after you've done chapter one and chapter two's content, you can see that there is an exam that's going to be based on chapter one and chapter two's content. For every exam, I have an audio review. I have an audio review. So I am literally going through the test and telling you, don't forget about this concept, this concept. I'm going to have this in here. And it's not like verbatim questions, but I'm telling you what to focus on in the audio review. So download those files and listen to them and help them make your study guide the best, most perfectly tailored study guide for the test. Because I have these study guides for every single chapter and they are great and they will get you going on the material that is important for every single chapter. And then on the exam audio review, I'm going to fine tune that into specifically what is on the test there. And then here's your test that will open up in that second week of class. It opens up on the 18th and then it'll close on the 24th. So you have a full week to knock out exam number one. So that's exam one. You can see the midterm is going to cover 30 old questions off of exam one that it's going to be randomly pulled. So it's just going to randomly pull like 15 from chapter one and 15 from chapter two. And then it's going to have 70 new questions covering chapters three, four, and five. You can see it's set up the exact same way. And then at the very bottom is the audio review for the midterm and the dates that the midterm is going to be open. So as far as testing, I've got the content blocked out by test, but I do want to make a note, just again, look at that schedule. Let's bring it up one more time. Look at the schedule because sometimes the way this 8 weeks works, I can't always end the material and give you the time for the test and then start brand new material. I can't do that in an 8 week setting. So just note, exam one that we just discussed covers chapters one and two, right? And it's due on, that's not right. Oh, wait, yeah, it is. It's due on the 24th. But also know that I had to sneak in chapter three. I had to sneak in chapter three as far as content. So sometimes we will be covering content that's not on the test yet. It'll be on the next test. So in the second week of class, the first week we cover chapter one. The second week we're covering two chapters, chapter two and chapter three. Chapter three will not be on the exam, but we still need to know chapter three material. So make a note of this schedule and know what's due because I don't want y'all missing out on the chapter three lecture quiz and its points towards your overall lecture quiz score. And that information, because you thought, well, I only have to study up until chapter two because that's what's on the exam. You also need to do chapter three's material in this week, so just pay attention, heads up, that's there. What else do I want to get covered in here? I think that covers everything. As far as the dates for tests and stuff, I tried to give us, a full week's notice for exam one and the midterm and exam three. But pay attention on the final exam. For 8 week classes on the final exam, I have no control over when those dates are. They pick those, and I am told these are the dates for your final exam. So note that you only have 2 days. You only have 2 days to cover the final exam window. So plan now for some free time on May 5th or May 6th to knock out your final exam because that's the only times they let us give you that test in order for everything to be graded and done on time. For when grades are due. So on that last week of class, I have the chapter 11 content, which is our very last content, which is covering evolution. Its lecture quiz is going to be due on the 4th, which is a Sunday, which is different than all the other weeks because everything else was due on Monday, right? So we have that due on the Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday is going to be the final exam. And the final exam is going to cover everything from midterm. So it's going to be 30 questions on chapter 7 and 8, and then it's going to be 70 questions on 9, 10, and 11 on that final exam. All right, so hopefully that has covered everything that I really wanted to cover as far as content and the quizzes, the discussion posts. If you're ever curious about rubrics, they are also here. So I've got discussion rubric on how you would be graded on discussion posts. Do you have mastery of the learning outcomes that we were hoping to get for that discussion post? Did you support it with literature? Make sure you're citing your sources. Try and make sure they're done with APA. I have a link to APA to figure out how to do that if you aren't comfortable with APA. Are you asking a question of the class? So in every discussion post, make sure to include a class question to your classmates, because then I'm going to ask you, are you responding to your classmates and their questions? Because I need you to respond to 2 classmates. And then, of course, in anything that you are writing, is your writing well organized and error-free, or am I going to find a bunch of grammatical or spelling errors in there? And that is how you are graded on all 4 of your discussion posts. So I just like to show you those. What else as far as communication? The calendar is updated with all the stuff, checklist, all of that stuff. If you'd ever need to email the class, you can do that too, as well over here. And then grades. Grades should be, it's going to give it a second, but they will all be here. Here's all your lecture quizzes for the different chapters. The practice quiz that I told you is going to be bonus points. Exam number 1, and it's 75 questions. Then we have the 4 discussion posts for the class, the cumulative midterm. At midterm, I try and put in a letter grade just so everybody knows exactly where you sit in the class. I'll put in your letter grade as soon as the midterm closes. I'll put that in there. Then we start fresh with exam 3. Then we've got the final exam and the final letter grade. So I try and put the letter grade in for your final letter grade so you don't have to wait until SCORE relinquishes your courses at the very end when Banner finally shows you everything. I try and let you know ahead of time so you don't have to stress. So that's in there as far as grades. So I think that's everything. If I have forgotten anything, please shoot me an email. Any questions are always welcome. But welcome to class. I wanted to say hello and walk you through everything. So let's have a great semester, and I will talk to y'all in orientation intro videos. Bye, guys.